Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever caught yourself staring at the petals of a flower or maybe looking at a famous Renaissance painting and just felt like there was some kind of secret code hiding just beneath the surface? Well, what if I told you that math isn't just a boring list of numbers you have to memorize for a test? What if it's literally the secret language of reality? Today, we're going to explore how learning mathematics, and specifically looking through the lens of something called the golden ratio, can actually help us uncover the structural core embedded deeply within nature itself.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be hitting the code of the universe, the math behind the magic, nature's perfect spiral, art and architectural harmony, patterns in digital analytics, and finally, the ultimate mathematical mystery. Basically, we're tracing a mind-bending path from ancient rabbit-breeding math all the way to cutting-edge 2026 data privacy trends. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the code of the universe, discovering the pattern.
We really need to completely challenge our basic assumptions about the natural world for a second. Think about this. Is beauty purely subjective, or is it actually a strict mathematical formula? We are so used to hearing that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But when we really commit to learning the mathematics behind it, wow, we start to discover that what our brains find aesthetically pleasing is often dictated by a super rigid underlying law.
And that brings us to this absolutely crucial concept, the golden ratio, or as it's known in Greek, phi. Simply put, it's a mathematical ratio where the ratio of the whole segment to the longer segment perfectly equals the ratio of the longer segment to the shorter segment. Sounds like a tongue twister, right? But historically, back in the early 1500s, people literally called this the divine proportion. It epitomizes physical balance. It acts as the absolute baseline for visual harmony in our world. Honestly, to truly understand nature's blueprint, you absolutely have to understand phi. Moving right along to Section 2, the math behind the magic, Fibonacci's discovery. To really see how this ratio manifests out in the wild, we've got to trace its origins back to a surprisingly simple thought experiment. Picture this. It's the year 1202. A mathematician named Leonardo of Pisa, who you probably know better as Fibonacci, publishes this groundbreaking book called Liber Abaci. In it, he poses a fascinating hypothetical puzzle known as the rabbit problem. He basically wanted to calculate the breeding process of a single pair of rabbits over several months. The catch? The rule was that each pair produces a new mixed pair every month, which then matures the following month. Now, what is incredibly interesting here is how you can literally see the math unfolding across the generations of these rabbits. Just look at how they multiply month by month. The total number of pairs in any given month perfectly equals the sum of the pairs in the 2 previous months. From this quirky biological thought experiment, a distinct sequence visually emerges. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on. Yep, you guessed it. That is the legendary Fibonacci sequence. So, how does this build into our golden ratio? Well, if you take consecutive Fibonacci numbers from that rabbit sequence and divide them, something truly incredible happens. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 5 divided by 3 is 1.666. 13 divided by 8 is 1.625. As you go down the line, dividing larger and larger Fibonacci numbers, the result constantly hones in, getting closer and closer to one specific absolute number. And that magic number is 1.6180339887, and it goes on and on. It's an indeterminable number stretching out to infinity. This right here is phi. This is the golden ratio. Fibonacci's rabbit problem perfectly approaches this divine proportion asymptotically. It's mind-blowing because it proves that this simple counting sequence has a deep, almost mysterious relationship with the fundamental way things grow and expand. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, nature's perfect spiral, the botanical blueprint. Because here's the thing, this abstract math, it doesn't just stay trapped on a piece of paper. It literally explodes into the tangible physical biology all around us. Take a look at the seeds in the center of a sunflower. Notice how they form spirals going in opposite directions? Well, the number of clockwise and counterclockwise spirals are always consecutive Fibonacci numbers, usually 34 and 55. And that pineapple right next to it? Its hexagonal scales form spirals that map out perfectly to 5, 8, and 13. I mean, no way, right? It's the exact same math presenting itself in totally different plants. And this visual barrage of math just keeps going. Check out the base of a pine cone. The scales follow that exact same logarithmic spiral, completely driven by the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. And why does this happen?
Well, it's because nature is just ruthlessly efficient. This spiraling pattern allows the plant to maximize its space, packing as many seeds as absolutely possible into a tiny area so they can grow securely without crowding each other out. Our sources aptly refer to this whole phenomenon as nature's secret code. And what you really need to take away from this is that these patterns are not some random coincidences. They aren't just an accident of evolution. This mathematical framework is a biological necessity for survival. When you are learning the mathematics behind these sequences, you aren't just doing homework. You are literally decoding the structural core embedded within nature itself. All right, let's pivot a bit to Section 4. Art and architectural harmony, human engineering. We're shifting gears from nature's biology to human ingenuity now, because, believe it or not, humans have intuitively recognized this mathematical harmony for millennia. Just look at this enduring legacy mapped out across history. Around 4700 BC, the Great Pyramid of Giza was built with a base-to-height ratio that is incredibly close to the Golden Ratio. Then you have the Parthenon in ancient Greece, which is practically a monument to this exact proportion. Fast forward to the 1500s, and Leonardo da Vinci was utilizing the formula to define the fundamental proportions in absolute masterpieces like the Last Supper. And guess what? It never stopped. Look at the modern Life campus in Denmark today. It features this gorgeous, iterative curtain of 96 raw oak columns spiraling upward, directly referencing the mathematical pattern of the DNA helix and the Fibonacci sequence. We literally engineer our spaces to mimic the genius of nature's math. Now, let's bring it into the 21st century with Section 5, Patterns in Digital Analytics, the Modern Shift. So, we've seen how math organizes physical chaos in nature and architecture. But today, this exact same concept of mathematical structuring is organizing our invisible digital world. Let's draw a direct comparison here to really make this click. On one side, we have natural patterns, like the Fibonacci sequence and the Golden Ratio, which help us understand physical, biological phenomena. On the flip side, we have digital patterns, think complex algorithms and data analytics. Just as a sunflower relies on mathematical sequences to efficiently pocket seeds, our modern digital infrastructure relies on mathematical algorithms to form the very patterns that dictate data privacy and user security. And I'll tell you right now, the digital world of 2026 is going to rely on these strict mathematical frameworks more than ever before. Just look at these incoming trends. Cookieless tracking is becoming the industry standard. Advanced AI and machine learning models are being deployed left and right for secure analysis. We're seeing much stricter GDPR compliance measures, a push for decentralized data storage to prevent breaches, and a massive, massive shift towards ethical analytics over profit-driven tracking. Platforms mentioned in our sources, like Simplify Analytics, are already using these advanced mathematical structures to guarantee anonymous, cookieless tracking. They are literally pulling actionable patterns out of data using math, all without ever compromising personal security. It's a real game changer. So why does this all matter to you? 2 words: trust through mathematics. In the modern era, respecting user consent through ethical, mathematically secure algorithms is exactly how businesses survive. Protecting user data while maintaining data-driven decision-making isn't just a clever marketing gimmick anymore. It's a foundational structural requirement. I mean, it is just as vital to a modern business today as a logarithmic spiral is to a pine cone surviving the harsh elements. Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the ultimate mathematical mystery, final thoughts. Let's just slow down the pace for a second and really take in the scope of what we've explored today. I want to leave you lingering on this pretty profound thought. Is math merely an invention of the human mind, just a tool to help us count and measure things? Or is it the pre-existing blueprint of the universe itself? From the spirals of a pineapple sitting right there on your kitchen counter, to the ancient columns of the Parthenon, all the way to the invisible algorithms protecting your digital data privacy in 2026, the Golden Ratio and mathematical patterns are truly everywhere. I invite you to step outside later or just look deeply at your own digital life and see if you can spot the hidden code for yourself. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and keep exploring.